No, last year, every single month I fought for my life. There's a lot to unpack, child. Things just kept getting worse and worse and worse. We make plans and God laughs. 2022 was supposed to be my year. It was supposed to be that year where I'm like, yeah, this was so transformative. My life changed. I wrote down so many goals. 2022 was supposed to go literally the opposite of how it actually went. Hey there and welcome to my YouTube channel. You know it's big, we're a big story. And for those of you who don't know, my name is Natalie Guerra and I'm on a mission to build the best lifestyle channel in Africa. So if you would like to be a part of my success story, please do make sure to hit the subscribe button before you leave and turn on your post notifications so that you never miss another bomb upload. As you can see by the title, today it's about me and you and me sitting down and chatting about the things that I learned in 2022, the things that I learned by fire by force in the hardest year of my life thus far. I was not looking to learn those lessons. I was not looking to be God's strongest soldier, but I had to learn them by fire by force. So I'm going to share them with you so that you can hopefully get something from this video, maybe not make the same mistakes that I did. So there are a lot of lessons. I do not know how long this video is going to be, but I just started writing in my notes and I just started writing and writing and writing and writing. So maybe sit back, relax, grab a drink, a snack or something, child, because we are about to get into it. Let's get straight into the video. If you see me looking down, I am just checking my notes because I did write notes for this video because there's a lot to unpack, child. There is a lot to unpack. So the first things first. The first lesson that I learned in 2022 is that yes, it can get worse. You know, sometimes you think like, surely it can't get worse than this, like surely this is it. No, rock bottom has a basement, baby. Rock bottom's basement has stairs to an attic. Like, it really can get worse. It is very much possible for it to get worse. You just need to buckle up and write it out. Like, you actually just need to write it out. So I don't say that to be like discouraging or demotivating, but just that I just learned that you just kind of have to be mentally prepared for anything, and that sometimes thinking that things are going to pass quickly works to your disadvantage, because then you're not prepared to ride it out and you don't know how long a certain season is going to be. So by mentally preparing yourself for, like, not to say a long struggle, not that you're manifesting or speaking into existence a long struggle, but like just always be mentally prepared to ride things out, always be mentally prepared to keep pushing, always be mentally prepared to keep going, because it can get worse. Like, for me, my year was really bad, I think from like Feb, and I thought like, this is the worst of it, like surely it can't get worse than this. And then every month after that, month after that, month after that, things just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Things just kept being thrown at me. Things just kept coming. So I thought it couldn't get worse, but it really could. And my year was really bad until literally like December, literally until like even the last week of December. Like, every month last year I was fighting for my life, and I even ended December, I remember being like quite sick with the flu for almost like 2 weeks. I had this like really bad flu, and like even the last week was just a bit funny. Yo guys, last year last year every single month I fought for my life. So yeah, the first lesson is that it can get worse. Just be prepared to like ride it out. The next thing I learned in 2022 is very much like that saying that says we make plans and God laughs, because yeah, those are literally the vibes. We make plans and God laughs. Like, there's that verse that speaks about how many are the plans in a man's heart, but it's the Lord's plan that prevails, or something along those lines. But yeah, that's something that I learned, because for me 2022 was supposed to be my year. Like, it was supposed to be mine. It was supposed to be that year where I'm like, yeah, this was so transformative. My life changed. It was amazing. Like, those were my plans. Like, I literally had plans for the year to be great. I wrote down so many goals, I journaled, it was supposed to be my year. 2022 was supposed to go literally the opposite of how it actually went. And I think that's why I mentioned in my chit chat get ready with me that this year I don't have any plans, because I'm submitting all my plans and my desires to God, and you guys can watch that video. And that's the reason I don't have plans for this year, because you can make plans, my dear, you can make plans, my darling, but God's plan will prevail. And that's something that I learned that there are certain things you just don't have control over, and you cannot control your life into success. Like, as human beings, we do have control. Like, obviously we can co-create with God. He's given us that power, you know, to also speak things into existence. His spirit dwells within us, so we also can do great things, like through faith and all of that. But submit your plans to God. Like, actually ask God, like, is this what you should be doing? Because for me, I had many plans and not even like one. Okay, maybe a few just happened, but most things did not happen for me. And also in making plans, I also learned that it's not enough to just make the plan. It's not enough to just write things down and think they're going to magically manifest. Like, you actually have to put in the work. And I think for me, I was actually laughing when I saw my journal, because I wrote down so many ambitious things. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with being ambitious, but I did not even put in work, or like the adequate amount of work to match what I wanted from the year, you know. So yeah, you can't just write things down and think they're magically gonna happen. You have to put in the work. But the biggest lesson was that don't make any plans without consulting God. The next thing that I learned in the year was that you have to allow yourself to feel your feelings, because in order to get over them, like, you have to go through your feelings. Like, you have to go through it to like get through it. Like, you have to go through, like, you cannot go over, you cannot go under, you cannot go side, you have to go through. So literally allow yourself to feel, because you are not going to get over your feelings by resistance. If anything, what you resist persists. Like, resisting something makes that feeling that much stronger. Like, I remember especially in the beginning of the year, I was already feeling down, because as I said to you, from fame it was just not looking cute at all. And I remember most part of the year I was fighting my feelings, I was fighting myself. Like, I was just like, why are you so sad? Okay, obviously I knew why I was sad, but I was just like, you know, just keep fighting. Like, just don't even focus on those feelings, get up every day, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And I was trying to push those feelings down, I was trying to ignore them. And there's so many times where your feelings will just like bubble over, like they'll just literally burst open, because it's like you really cannot bottle up your emotions and think that you're going to get through them. Like, you have to feel them. If you need to cry your eyes out, scream, make it a movie, slide down the wall, get on your knees and cry, and that will literally help you release all of those feelings. But you can't harbor so many feelings and think that they're not going to come out at some or other point. So yeah, I just learned to allow myself to feel my feelings so that I can get through them. I think I would have maybe been a bit better off if I allowed myself to feel instead of fighting my feelings, because it also takes energy to fight your feelings. You're fighting for your life, now you're fighting for your feelings, now you're forcing yourself to feel a way that you don't, and that's low-key on like toxic positivity. There's nothing wrong with being optimistic and things like that, but like, yeah, allow yourself to feel your feelings. You will definitely thank yourself later, and your feelings will pass hopefully much quicker. Now my power bank is crying. I hope that you guys won't hear it. South Africa, our land, guys. South Africa, our land. So another lesson I learned is that sometimes you just have to be strong. Again, I know that's not like encouraging or anything, but sometimes it just is what it is. Sometimes you just have to be strong. Like, you don't have a choice. If you want to make it through this life thing, you're going to go through very difficult times, challenges, obstacles, all of that good stuff. And sometimes you just have to be strong. Like, it's not easy, it's definitely extremely difficult, but if you want to make it through, you just have to be strong. Because like I said to you, it's kind of similar to the first point in the fact that it can get worse. Like, things can get worse. Life is like that, hey. So you genuinely just, sometimes you really just have to be strong. Like, you just have to soldier on. You literally just have to be God's strongest soldier. If that means taking it a day at a time, taking it an hour at a time, taking it a minute at a time, whatever it takes. But sometimes you just have to be strong. There's no remedy, there's no amount of positive self-talk, there's no amount of optimism, there's no amount of advice from friends or family, or even no amount of prayer. Like sometimes guys, sometimes things are so hard, like there's even no amount of prayer that can really get you out of that funk. Obviously you can still pray, because during that time I was still praying. Like I remember I would write my letters to God. Sometimes I would pray and I would be very blunt in my prayers. Sometimes I would really say, wow God, like I'm so disappointed, or like I'm so hurt, or like I'm tired of crying out to you, I'm tired of asking you, like do you even want to help me, like where are you, you know? So sometimes like there's no amount of anything that can help you. Sometimes you just have to be strong. You just have to find that inner strength, or whatever you lean on for strength, and cultivate it, bring it out, and you just have to be strong in order to soldier on. And on that note, although I did say that, like, you know, I'd be praying and stuff like that, but another thing I learned is that you can't do life without God. Let me not speak for everyone. I am a Christian, so let me speak for myself and say that I cannot do life without God. Like, another thing with last year, I think, is that I was really trying to control things so much. Like I wanted things to happen for me so badly that I was trying to control everything, and I was trying to do life without God. I was trying to play God in my own life. I was trying to orchestrate things. I was trying to move things and make them happen, and I had this desperate energy almost about the year, because as I said to you, I had plans. Like that was supposed to be my year. I had plans. So now I was trying to play God to make those plans happen, instead of actually trusting and leaning on God. And yeah, it was just really bad, and I realized that I can't do this life thing without God. I actually really need him. And I think because my relationship with God was so strained, like even when I would pray and write those letters to him and stuff, it almost felt pointless, simply because I didn't have that relationship with him. So I felt like I was doing it just for the sake of doing it, like just doing it because when times are tough you call on God, you know, and not because I actually genuinely believed that he could help me or take me out of the situation. Like I had lost my faith so much. Like I had not even faith the size of a mustard seed. I did not even have that much faith. Like I had zero faith. So that's why I feel like even in praying and doing these things, it was almost in vain, because in my heart I didn't truly believe that God could help me out of the situation. You can't do life without God. And then while we're on the topic of having God help you with your hard times, I also learned that if you do want help with your tough times, you have to be ready to receive it. It's quite futile to seek help. Well, I'm a big advocate of seeking help. If you realize that you need help, please do definitely seek it as soon as you can. But for me, in my personal capacity, I learned that if I wanted to seek help, I had to be ready to receive it. Otherwise, it would be a bit pointless. So last year, I actually considered going to therapy. So I was trying out like some counseling sessions with a therapist, and I think I only went to 2. And although the first session was like really insightful, it wasn't really a deep dive session. Obviously it was just like getting to know each other, but like just being able to speak to someone and speaking to like an unbiased person, and you know, just being validated, but also just being corrected, or also just seeing things from a different perspective, helped me a lot. It did, even the second session. But that experience kind of taught me that if you want help, be ready to receive it, because after the second session I never went back. One of the reasons for that is because I felt kind of ashamed for needing help, because I was just like, are things this bad that I have to pay to be fine? Like it was just so crazy to me, and it took so much for me to actually like take that step, because there was that feeling of being ashamed, there was that feeling of being judged, you know, like now my family is gonna know that I'm going through the most. This person that I'm gonna talk to, are they gonna understand me? Are they gonna get me? Like, am I being dramatic? Like, you know, like there was just so many fears and so many thoughts going through my mind. And then after the second session, so she had given me like practical things to do and practical things to try, but to be honest, it was things that like I've heard. Like it's not things that are like shocking or mind-blowing, like it's things that you've most likely heard before. And it's just the fact that I almost felt like, what was the point of it? Because she's essentially telling me things that are not new to me. Like, I really thought that going there I would get like some revolutionary thing, like, yo, here's a quick fix. I think I was just so desperate to receive help and so desperate for things to change that I was willing to try anything, and I thought certain things would be a quick fix and like an overnight fix. So yeah, I think I wasn't ready to receive the help, and I think that's why I was so resistant to it, and that's why I kind of felt like I had that know-it-all vibe, because I was just like, no, but I've heard these things before, I'm not even gonna try them, like they don't work, blah blah blah, of which was quite funny because I did do some of the things and I did like start feeling better. So I was just like, okay, she obviously knows what she's talking about. But I was so resistant to it because I wasn't really ready to receive help. So it's something I definitely still consider, but I think if you want help, be ready to receive it. And then while we're still on the topic of help, child, you will learn that when days are dark, hey, friends are few. They did not make that saying for nothing. When days are dark, my dear, friends are few, and you really need to learn to be your own friend, because people will shock you. I think I also mentioned this in my chit chat get ready with me, but people will always choose themselves, and you need to also choose yourself. And it's not to say that you won't find those people, like you won't find your tribe, people that will be there for you during hard times, that will support you, etc, etc. It's such a blessing to have those people, and you know, I'm so grateful to have like my best friend and some of my close friends as well that would check on me, my friends that would just invite me for drinks just to get out of the house, you know, my friends that were genuinely concerned and cared for my mental well-being. I'm so thankful to like each and every one of them. But for the most part, when days are dark, friends are few, and that also is a very painful realization to come to, because you're already going through your own things, and like that's already painful and making you sad, and then it makes you even more sad to think that there's nobody around you that cares about you or that cares for what you're going through. And in as much as I say that lesson to say be your own friend, as human beings we are not an island, you know, like we really do need human connection, we do need other people there. But yeah, it's just like, it's a lesson that I learned that when days are dark, friends are few. So I think that's why also having a relationship with God is really good, because God can be your friend, you know, you can tell him anything and everything, it will not be repeated, you won't be judged, you know, like it's just vibes. Or if you're blessed enough to have close friends, then that brings me to my next point, which is just having someone to talk to. That helped a lot, and I think that's a lesson that I learned. Like, in as much as sometimes you want to go through things alone, you want to be independent, you want to be a strong soldier, sometimes it really helps just to talk to someone. And it's not to say they're going to solve your problem, it's not to say they're going to give you life-changing advice, it's not to say that they're even going to say anything useful, but like just to have a listening ear, just to have somewhere where you can vent, somewhere where you can talk, somewhere where you can just let it all out. Because like sadness or depression or just feeling some type of way, like it's an energy, and sometimes like that energy just needs to be released somewhere, whether that's by journaling, whether that's by praying or talking to God, whether that's having someone to talk to. But sometimes I feel like that energy just needs to be removed, like it needs to be channeled somewhere else so that you can feel a bit lighter. You know, it helps to have somebody to share that burden with. And like I said, it's not like they need to help you or change your life, just talking to them is enough. Another thing I learned last year was to learn to trust your instinct. Like, we have a gut instinct for a reason, and trust it. Like, trust it. It's almost like trusting yourself. Some of the situations that we get ourselves into are really just because we didn't want to listen to ourselves, or we didn't want to listen to our intuition, or whatever higher power or thing that's giving you that off feeling, that's giving you that feeling that something is off. When we don't listen to that feeling, sometimes we get ourselves in sticky situations that could have been avoided if we really just learn to trust ourselves. So yeah, that's something that I learned, is to trust your gut instinct, even if you don't immediately act on it, but just be curious about it, just move cautiously depending on how you're feeling. Like, if you have a bad feeling about something, it's not to say that your gut instinct is always correct, but just be curious about that feeling. Just explore what you're exploring with caution when you have a certain feeling. So yeah, just trust your gut instinct. And then other things that I learned more so towards like the end of the year is that if you don't do it, God will. And what I mean by that is, when it comes to people, sometimes we feel, and this also kind of goes with like trusting your gut instinct, like sometimes we feel in our spirit that like it's time to let certain people go, or your time with certain people is up, like time it's up, mommy, but you are still holding on to them so tightly. And sometimes not people, even work, even whatever, opportunities, whatever, sometimes you just feel that like it's time for me to let go of this thing, this person, this whatever. You feel it in your spirit, like you just know, but for some odd reason you're just holding on. I feel like if you don't do it, God will. Like if something is not meant to be in your life, God will remove it from your life. No matter how much you try to hold on to it, no matter how tightly you try to hold on to it, God will remove it from your life. And I saw this with me. Even if you don't like do what you feel God is telling you to do, for lack of better words, I feel like he will do it if it needs to be done. Even with work and stuff, that's when you'll find like some people even get like fired, you know, before they skyrocket in a completely different career, or like, you know, their house gets burned down before they find their home, or just, I'm thinking of random things off the top of my head, but I'm just saying, like, if something is meant to be removed from your life, God will remove it, like by fire, by force. He will remove it. He will make a way for that thing to be removed. So just trust your gut instinct. Like if you feel like it's time to let something or someone go, just let it go, darling, because it's only a matter of time before God removes it himself. And also, losing people is not always a loss. Like losing something, some people, some whatever, is not always a loss. I think, yeah, I learned that last year. Like sometimes you see the ending of something as a loss, or the removal of someone from your life as a loss, but it's not always a loss. Sometimes it's a win, sometimes it's a W. Sometimes your life gets so much better after that thing or that person has left. And I always think of like the analogy of a rocket. Like when a rocket is going up into space, it needs to let go of some of the stuff at the bottom. I don't know what they're called. Are they boosters? Are they whatever? I don't know what they're called, but like a rocket cannot go where it needs to go with all of that extra baggage. So obviously when it first goes up, it's all intact and whatever. Then the higher it goes, the more things start falling off. And I always think of that analogy, like some people, some things, some stuff cannot go where you're going, baby. Like you're going sky high. Like the sky is not even the limit, baby. You're going into space, and there are people and things that are dragging you down, that are holding you back. Like sometimes somebody leaves your life and your life just gets 10 times better, and you don't even know why. Like what's going on? Like when did I get this level up? But some people and some things are genuinely holding you back, and you really just need to let them go. And in letting them go, your life gets so much better, because also now you open up space for all of these things that are for your next chapter, and for things that align with you, and for things that are going to grow you and elevate you. But if your life is so damn packed full of the wrong things, how are you going to have space to attract the right things, or even be in the right headspace to attract the right things? Because you're so busy stressing and being stressed by the wrong things, the wrong people. You don't even have mental space to make room for better things in your life, or to think clearly, you know, about the things and people that you want in your life, because your mind is so cluttered with all of the wrong things. Like you gotta spring clean your life, you gotta spring clean your mind. Like you literally just have to let some things go. And I promise you, not everything you lose is a loss. Some things are actually a win, and you need to start seeing them that way. And then the other thing that I learned, I'm actually going to read it directly from my phone, because I know that I'm going to forget. But some experiences are worth the pain. Don't give up present happiness for the fear of future sadness. So that's quite a big lesson that I learned last year as well, towards like the end of the year. It was just like allowing yourself to be happy in the present, even if you suspect that the present happiness that you have might become sadness, or like just allow yourself to be happy in the moment. Like don't give up happiness in the moment because you feel like you're going to be sad later on. In terms of like, some people don't even do certain things because they feel like they're going to be sad later on. Like even if it's a temporary thing, like it's okay to have happiness for a period, happiness for a time. Don't give up the option to be happy because you feel like you're going to be sad in the future. You know, some experiences are worth the pain. Like some experiences are worth just having the experience, no matter how it's going to end. Some experiences are actually worth that sadness. Like, yes, you're going to be sad that it's over, but like, be happy that it happened. You know, that saying, something along the lines of don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened, or something like that. But like, some experiences are really worth the pain, and some experiences will teach you certain things that you may not have learned otherwise. Some experiences will give you hope again, because also when you're having like a really bad year, sometimes you really want to put off things that can potentially make you happy, because you feel like, yo, I'm going to be sad again, so what's the point of being happy? But sometimes that little bit of happiness helps so much. Like, sometimes you just need a reminder that life is not all that bad. Like, it can get better. There are things that can make me happy still, you know. Sometimes you really need that reminder that, you know what, happiness is still possible. It can still happen for me at some or other time, as opposed to just not experiencing it at all just because you don't want to be sad at the end of it, you know. I hope that makes sense. Another lesson I learned is that life is not black and white. Yeah, like, there is no formula to this life thing, so don't ever think that you have it figured out. Like, you actually just have to live it to see how it pans out. You never know until you try. And this also kind of links to the earlier lessons that I learned, that like, this whole thing of like making plans and stuff like that. Like, life has no formula. There is no rule book to life. There's nothing that says if you do A, you will get B. You literally just have to do it and figure it out. And life is not black and white, in the sense that there are gray areas. Like, life, I think, is very nuanced. Like, it's not black and white. It's not to say that if you do X, you'll get Y. You know, it's not to say that if you leave your job today, you'll become a billionaire YouTuber tomorrow. It's not to say that everybody who leaves their job is successful at leaving their job. It's not to say that everybody who pursues a passion is going to be profitable from that passion. It's also not to say like, if you were to get married to someone after a month, you guys are going to divorce because it was too soon. Or like, if you marry someone after 3 years, you guys are going to be together forever. Like, you'll find it's even the opposite. You'll find it's vice versa. Like, life just doesn't make sense. Like, you cannot formulate life. You cannot say that if you do this, it will give you this outcome. You just have to be open and flexible to life and seeing what the possibilities are. Like, life just has endless possibilities. There's so many ways that something can go, and you can't necessarily game the system. Yeah, like, there's no formula. Life is not maths. Hey, it's not 1 + 1 = 2. Sometimes 2 + 2 is 8, and you're just like, what's going on? So yeah, I just feel like there's no formula to this life thing. You can't really crack the code. You can't really game the system. You really just have to live it and be open to possibilities. Be flexible, not rigid. Be open to those gray areas and just see what life has to offer. And then I touched on this earlier actually, but that manifestation and prayer is not magic. Like, you have to put in the work. I did already speak about this earlier when I was saying I wrote down so many ambitious things, but where are they? Where are they? Because I literally did not put in the work to get those things. So yeah, that one is pretty self-explanatory. You gotta put in the work. Faith without works is dead. And then another thing that I learned is that it's okay to be alone. And this can also link to the point of when days are dark, friends are few. It's okay to be alone. Like, it's really okay to be alone. And sometimes I feel like being alone is like a superpower, because most of the time what we tolerate from other people comes from our fear of being alone. So we take certain things, we don't have boundaries, we're people pleasers, we take BS simply because we don't want to be alone. Like, if I lose this friend, who am I going to be friends with? If I lose this relationship, who am I going to date? If I lose this person or these people, I'm going to be alone. Who's going to be there for me? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? And sometimes that's just very dangerous. It's so important to learn to be alone and to be content in that, and to be, even if you're not happy per se, but like, just to be content, just to learn how it feels to have your own company and be enough for yourself. That way I feel like you tolerate much less BS, because anybody else that's trying to come into your life is now competing with your peace. Like, they are now competing with the life that you've cultivated for yourself. And if you're going to come into my life and make my life worse, why would I tolerate you? You know, I'm already happy by myself. Why would I tolerate you? But if you're not happy by yourself, it's so much harder to have boundaries, and it's so much harder to not settle, because now you just want these things just so that you're not alone. You just want something for the sake of having it. You basically just want to have anything just to say that you have something, simply because you don't want to be alone. A lot of things that, you know, we do comes from the fear of being alone. So once you conquer that fear of being alone and just like being content with yourself and being at peace, I feel like you'll start to attract much better, because you are not moving from a place of fear. Like, you're actually moving from a place of power. Like, I am alone, I enjoy my own company, I'm able to do the things I want for myself, I've cultivated a beautiful life for myself, I'm at peace. You know, anything that comes and disrupts that peace, you are not going to want it in your space. So that's why I feel like taking time to be alone is very much like a superpower, you know. And sometimes isolation feels very sad and lonely and stuff, but sometimes isolation is really important, and you only ever see it like once you're out of it. But that time of being alone and not having friends around you, not having people around you, was just a very important time for you to grow as a person and to decide what you will and won't tolerate, because yeah, you're okay by yourself, so you're not scared of losing people. So you can put those boundaries in place, because not to say you don't care whether or not you lose the person, but losing them is not a factor in your decision making. You literally just make the decision that's best for you, which is absolutely amazing. And on that note, I also learned to confidently be yourself, because I feel like when you are yourself, you'll attract the right people around you, as opposed to you pretending to be someone that you're not, and then you attract the wrong people. Sometimes we attract certain people into our lives and we're like a bit confused, like, why why is this person coming into my life? Why am I getting friends like this? Why am I getting partners like this? Why am I getting jobs like this, etc.? But sometimes it's because you're pretending to be someone that you're not. But when you are authentically yourself, you will attract the type of people that love you for you and that get you for you. People you don't have to pretend with, people you don't have to put on a show for. Like, you will attract what is authentically for you, because you're authentically being yourself. The moment you pretend to be someone you're not, you're going to attract those types of people. So even with something as simple as content, sometimes I would be almost embarrassed of wanting to be a content creator. Like, it's not something that like I would be comfortable sharing. Like, I'd always just kind of duck and dive the topic, or dodge it, or just focus on like my marketing side and not even mention content at all, because it was something I was low-key embarrassed about, which I don't know why, but I was just like, oh my gosh, people are gonna judge me, you know. And then yeah, so let's say for example, I'm not authentically being myself and confidently saying I want to be a content creator, and let's say I'm just focusing on my marketing side, then I'm just getting marketing opportunities after marketing opportunities after marketing opportunities. I'm not getting any content opportunities, and now I'm confused and I'm like, but why am I getting all of these opportunities and none of these opportunities? But sometimes it's because you're pretending to be someone that you're not. Like, you're trying to be something that you're not, and you're going to attract those types of things. And then maybe now I attract people that are into marketing and whatever, which there's nothing wrong with it. This is just like a random example, but you're not getting what you authentically desire, because you're not authentically being yourself. Whereas if I'm comfortable to say I'm a content creator, I want to be a content creator, now I'm attracting people that are also content creators, people that want to help me record and film and create content together, people that are on the same journey, people that understand it or are just interested in it, people that are happy to help me create when we're out together. Now I'm getting content opportunities, you know. Now I'm in a space where I feel more confidently myself, and I feel more happy and aligned, because now my world is also aligning with the things that I want deep inside, you know. That's obviously a random example, but like, that's just what I mean. Like, just don't pretend to be someone that you're not. Even if maybe you're pretending to like certain things, maybe you're pretending to be like high maintenance, and then you're only attracting people that want to throw money at you and they don't want to actually see you for who you are, and then you're confused, like, why? But even on the opposite spectrum, maybe you're pretending not to care about wanting certain things, and now you attract people who don't want to give you those things, because you're pretending to be someone who doesn't care about those things when you do. Whereas when you are confident in what you want and confident in what you desire, you will attract things that align, and people that align, and opportunities that align, and your life will just be aligned. Basically, basically just don't misalign your life by trying to be something that you're not. I hope that makes sense. Well, it's actually getting dark, but yeah, those are most of the lessons that I learned last year in 2022, in the hardest year of my life, child. But you know what, reflecting on that year, while I was in that year, I was like, you know what, surely I'm suffering for nothing. Like, I cannot see the lesson in any of these things that I'm doing. But obviously right now in a new year, as I sit back and reflect, I've picked up literally like all of these lessons that I couldn't see then. And yeah, when you're in the moments of something, it's so hard to see the bigger picture. It's so hard to see why you're going through something. But I do believe that I needed that year. Maybe I didn't need it as tough as God gave it to me, but I do think that I needed that year. Like, it was almost like being gracefully broken. Like, I really needed to break so that I could rebuild myself again into the person that I want to be. I needed to learn certain things, and I feel like if I didn't have that year, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. I wouldn't have certain characteristics or see things a certain way or learned certain things, you know. Like, I think that year was really important for me, and I think I'll always remember it as a year that kind of catapulted me into who I was becoming. It was kind of like the catalyst for my personal growth. I don't think there's a year that grew me as much as 2022 did, and reflecting on it now, I do think it was something that I needed. Although this year, Lord, I'm not signing up to be a stronger soldier, because I already served my notice last year and I'm done. I resigned. This is my happy girl era. Like, I'm in my happy girl era. I'm in my abundant era. I'm in my blessings era. Like, I'm just in a really good place right now. And I think also one of the other biggest lessons, and maybe the last lesson I can leave you guys with, is to let things go. Although we touched on it a bit in the beginning, I've also been meditating on a very specific verse, which is the verse that speaks about how God says, like, do not dwell on the former things. Like, can't you see that I'm doing a new thing? And that's just how I feel with this year. I feel like God is doing a new thing. So I'm not going to dwell on former things. No matter how much hurt and pain and trauma you go through, at some point you have to let it go in order to move on. You cannot go into a new year carrying the baggage of the previous year and think that things are going to be different, you know, because if I carried all the baggage from last year, I would be so unhappy right now, child. Like, I would not have any hope for anything. I would not have any faith for anything, because I'm carrying all that disappointment. I'm carrying all of that nothing that happened for me. I'm carrying all of that where was God, you know. If I carried that into this new year, then I would still be that same person. But I had to let it go in order to be able to move forward and walk into a new year with a renewed hope, renewed faith, renewed expectations. You know, I had to walk into this year with a new heart. So yeah, I am not dwelling on the former things. God is doing a new thing, and that is what I'm perceiving. I think the verse even goes on to say that he will make a way in the wilderness. Like, he will make a way where there seems to be no way. And yeah, that is a verse that I'm holding very dearly to my heart this year. Not even just 2 years, but also throughout my days. Like, I still do have hard days. I've had like quite hard days this year as well, but every night when I go to bed, I always say to myself, joy comes in the morning, joy comes in the morning, joy comes in the morning. I always affirm that to myself. Like, whatever I've gone through that day, as soon as the clock strikes 12, my darling, joy is on its way. Joy comes in the morning. So even every day when I have hard days, I lean on that verse so much, and I tell myself, do not dwell on the former things, because God is doing a new thing. And every day when I wake up, I truly believe that he's doing a new thing. The hurt that I felt yesterday, he's doing a new thing, you know, because joy comes in the morning. And that verse of joy comes in the morning comes from the verse that speaks about how weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. So I always hold on to that. Even in the hard days I've had this year, I will cry, child. I will cry, I will journal, I will pray, but I always remind myself that I may cry for the night, I may cry for the whole night, guys. I may cry from 6 to midnight. Like, I can cry for the whole night, but joy comes in the morning. That's what I truly believe. And when I start a new day, I started with a heart of gratitude. I started with a heart of joy is coming this morning, joy is coming today. I was sad yesterday, but joy is coming this morning. And to be honest, I have not had a day that leaked into the next day. Like, if I was sad yesterday, then I'm sad today because of yesterday. I literally have not had that this year. My bad days have been a bad day, and that badness or that negative energy has remained in that day. And then for just a quick little life update on my previous life updates, if you watched that one, there's really not much to say. I do feel like my relationship with God is improving day by day. I spoke about this in my chit chat Get Ready With Me more in depth, so you can definitely watch that. I have left my job now, so I'm going to be focusing on content this year. I'm going to be a full-time content creator. That's on God. But even if it doesn't happen for me, I'm just happy to be waking up every morning and doing something that I enjoy. It's not by force that I must do something that I'm not extremely passionate about, you know. So yeah, I've left my job, not necessarily to focus on content, but just because I wasn't happy in that space. And in my previous life updates, I did speak about like being complacent and sometimes forgetting the dreams that you have for yourself, pursuing other people's dreams for you, or pursuing or helping them pursue their dreams. So yeah, I've now left that so that I can focus and figure out what it is that is truly for me. Improving my relationship with God. This year I'm actually open to relationships. I remember in that life update I did say that I wasn't. Also, I was in a very bad space, child. But this year I'm literally open to new relationships, both romantic and platonic. Like, I'm open to new friendships. I'd really love to meet my tribe and like have a community of like-minded people around me. I'm open to romantic relationships if it happens for me, you know. Like, I'm actually more open this year to the possibilities of life. There's not really much to update you guys on because not much has changed since then, other than my mental state. I'm in a better place, improving my relationship with God. I've left my job and I'm more open to life. Always remember, do not dwell on the former things, because God is doing a new thing. And that's just what I would like to leave you guys with. I really hope that this video was helpful. Please let me know in the comments down below which lesson really resonated with you, and maybe what lessons you learned from last year. How was the year for you? I would really love to chat to you in the comments. Please do make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video as well to anyone else you think it would help. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.